As Commissioner Lieberman points out, communities are facing a lot of challenges. And Mary, you're down there on ground zero. What are the, what are the barriers that you see in your community?
We have so many barriers, but I know we have a lot of senior citizens in our community who are taking care of their grandchildren, believe it or not. And a lot of these senior citizens don't have access to transportation, to get to the proper grocery store, to get the vegetables and the fruits as needed. So therefore they end up having to settle for what's in our neighborhood, the mom and pop store, the corner store. And we talked about that earlier, what you find when you first walk into the store. The corner store is going to be snacks instead of vegetables and fruits. And we should be trying to place that in front instead of, we should be trying to place the fruit and the vegetables in front as opposed to the snacks in the very front. So this is what the children end up eating because it's easy access for them.
Yeah, right at those cash registers,
yes,
you have whole lineups of candy bars and all kinds of junk.
That's not good for them.
No.
And Mary, we talked about, you know, when we traveled to Washington, D.C. and for the Pioneering Healthy Communities Initiative, that it's not necessarily about radical changes. How might we work with those community stores to say, perhaps we could just shift your displays.
Absolutely.
The goal isn't to take business away from them, it's to engage them, to say, how might we get on the same team, recognize the same issue within the community and work together to solve it.
We have to, and we have to learn how to work with those particular stores and ask them, and you ask them, you're not telling them, but you're asking them to work with you so that you can make the necessary changes because it's for the health of our children. And as Dr. Paula stated, it's about our children's health today. If they're healthy today, they learn how to eat today, not only will they become healthy, but it trickles down from generation to generation. It continues to go on to each generation. When you know better, you'll do better.
Dr. Thaqi, I think you were talking about the goal of the Let's Move campaign to get this solved quickly, right?
Well, I was so glad to hear Commissioner Lieberman talk about the county's strong support of Let's Move, because really that campaign recognizes the seriousness, the urgency of the epidemic of childhood obesity in the United States, seeking to solve that problem within one generation so that children who are born today can grow up healthier and be more able to pursue and to achieve their dreams. It's absolutely critical that we're successful as a community and as a nation.
We like to talk about turning that curve. So right now the curve is going in the wrong direction, but bigger and bigger, and we need to start bringing it down. I think one of the challenges for these stores is they get paid a lot of money to put those candy bars and things at the front.
So to me, like, I like the idea of having to switch it around. Switch it around. Switch it around. So what I would say is like we do like a little farmers market in front of those stores, like to get the sales of the fruits and the veggies up, because the bottom line is they have to make the money to keep their rent, to pay their bills. But if you show them like, okay, the candy or the apple or the fruits can sell just as fast as any sweets or any soda pop, but you just got to present it to the kids in a way that the kids going to do it. So what we have done is we actually Ada Mary School down in Miami is one of our Michelle Obama's Let's Move program, where we signed up with her. It's called Chef Move to School. So we're a part of that initiative, and Ada Mary is the school that we actually introduced into. Ada Mary is like a flagship school of ours, we like to call it. Well, the first time I went to that school is I introduced a veggie option to them. It was like a lettuce wrap. So there's nothing but vegetarian in it. Everything was with lettuce, onions, peppers, and all the stuff that kids would not eat, broccoli and all that stuff. So what I did was I had the kids come up on stage with me, and 5 or 10 kids cook. Because if you get them involved, if you get them touching the earth, if you get them doing certain things, then they're going to be like, all right, you know what, let me try this. So after I left the school, I get a lot of calls from the parents like, oh my God, what have you done to my kids? Because they're eating veggies. And the kids, and these are kids that are eating sweet 24/7, but now they're coming home like, Mom, this guy was there, he made this vegetable thing, and can you make it for me? So we had our sauces like shipping out to parents and stuff like that, because the bottom line is, if you give them something that they can do, and it's a family time. Not only, that's what we try to bring back the family to the table. Get away from the video game, get away from your cell phone, go back to the table with the kids one Sunday, and that can change their output. That's what we're trying to push. in our company here.
And not only will it make them healthier that way, but it also improves family functioning.
Exactly.
And we did a show recently about how eating the family dinner reduces juvenile crime. It helps with preventing substance abuse. It all ties together, bringing that family unit back. And so we want to get the healthy food in, and we also want to keep them moving, right,
Absolutely.
Andy?
The kids are born to move. We as humans are born to move. And like I said earlier, we've engineered that right out of our lives. And all we need to do is go back to who we are supposed to be, which is movers. And kids, have you ever watched them in their natural environment? They are dying to move, and we do a lot of things to try and contain that movement. You know, where can we give them an opportunity to do that safely? You mentioned safe green spaces outside. Where are the places that we can simply play? And then how do we also give kids an opportunity to become skilled movers? When we eliminate physical education, when we don't teach kids the skills to become skilled movers, they're not going to become lifelong movers because they haven't achieved those skills. Who likes to play anything that they're horrible at? No one likes to do that. So unless they learn how to throw and kick and jump and all those things, then they're not going to continue that as older children and into adulthood. So it's about how do we get us back to play, but then also how do we become skilled movers so that we engage in lifelong wellness, and how do we make active recreation our choice? How does that become our choice for kids and for families together?
And that's another way that the county is trying to get involved. Commissioner Dale Holness has been very committed, he and his staff, to the Let's Move initiative and implementing some interesting programs in his district. Let's hear from him on some of these.
Well, let me first compliment the First Lady for the effort that she's put in. It's great foresight to recognize that the health concerns of our people are critical, and especially of our youths. If our youths grow up obese and get all the ailments that we know are common to that, diabetes, hypertension, and even cancer, and even mental illness can result from that. Low performance in school. Studies have shown that when a child is physically active, that they perform better academically. So it's important for us to be a part of that, and for me it is. It is a critical part, especially representing a district that has a high need for development, because we have a large number of people who are poor and lack the education and the skill sets to earn a good living. So helping our children prepare themselves for the future is critical to our community, to the world, and for us in America, for us to be strong. We have to make sure that we have healthy people, reduce our costs also from a governmental standpoint, now and in the future. Healthier people keep our healthcare system in shape to where it doesn't cost us too much money as taxpayers. After I got elected last year to the County Commission, I set up committees to help ensure that we're able to fulfill the promises that we made. And a big part of that was in the health area, to support that, education, economic development, job creation. All of that needs to be worked together. So one of the committees we have is actually for youth development sports programs. And we're very active with that. I participate with a group called CASA that provides for youth development through sports and activity. We're involved with community gardening in Lauderdale Lakes, in Lauderdale Manors, in Pompano, where we basically get the youths involved in the process also, bring them out so that they can do some gardening, so they see how the plants grown and understand the need to eat healthy. And that's a whole part of the educational process there. I'm also a board member for Feeding South Florida, because we know that if the kids go to school hungry, there's going to be a problem with them learning. So Feeding South Florida helps with providing food to people in our community. I helped in Pompano set up a pantry, a food pantry at one of the churches there with Carmen Jones. Clive Webster is my community liaison coordinator, and he's very much out there helping me with with all these activities that we're engaged with. I'm also a member of Body Mechanics Health Group that targets MOVE. Basically, the idea is this, that if you were to walk just a few more paces each day, take a few extra steps, that would help also. Park your car a good distance away from where you're going rather than just pull up to the doorway and walk that extra few steps, and that will help you. I take the steps when I come here all the time. I don't take the elevator. That's another way to do it. You know, having even 2 or 3 times a week a short walk can help tremendously. You know, when I walk, I sometimes take one of my kids with me to walk, and it's a good conversation to have. It's peaceful. There's no television, no one else disrupting you. You're there, and you're able to really bond in a great way. But part of what we're doing with the gardening is bringing the family together. The family is the first unit, and then it expands into the neighborhood. So once you're able to bring that in, and of course the city and the county and the state and the nation. So starting at that level of the family, with bringing them together in the community to do like the community gardening, where you bring the kids out and teach them how gardening works. And it's marvelous to see plants grow. I mean, I know for me it is. To plant a seed and then whew, after a while you have a plant and you have something you can eat. I think it's fascinating for the kids also, for them to get engaged and involved with that. Many of the activities that we are involved with involve kids with sports, whether it be a Little League football team, a soccer group, or a netball group, because we actually have netball or basketball. There's a whole host of sports that kids can get involved with and engage with that can help. We have to make sure that we put funding in place to facilitate the space and the places for these activities to happen.
As Commissioner Holness said, walking and being active together as a family can be so much fun. A little annoying at times, as I was trying to chase my 4-year-old and make sure that we were actually walking together down the street. But not everybody is taking that active approach. Paula, you had some statistics about the sedentary lifestyle of our young people?
Yeah. Well, first of all, walking is something that we all took for granted, walking to school or riding our bikes to school, and maybe I'm dating myself, but it's something that we all took for granted. In 1969, 48% of children rode their bikes or walked to school, and now that number is less than 8%. On average, teenagers in the United States spend 7.5 hours a day in sedentary activity, playing video games, using the internet, or watching television. So one of the things that we can do as a community, and have done as a community, is a program called Safe Routes to School. And that is a program that really is very comprehensive. It involves something called the walking school bus, which is absolutely adorable when you see it. There are children walking to school, and there are props that they have for safety, and there are parent volunteers. But Safe Routes to School is really much more comprehensive than that. It's a community-wide effort. It involves parents, it involves parent-teachers associations, it involves children, it involves local law enforcement, it involves Department of Transportation, metropolitan planning organizations, all kinds of folks, to make sure that those routes to school that the children are walking are safe, and really encouraging that as physical activity. And in community, in designing our communities in such a way, or redesigning our communities in such a way as to promote healthier communities.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, nobody worried about me being abducted on my way to school. That was, you know, I walked to school, that wasn't a problem. So people who are watching who might want their child to go on one of these walking school buses, is it already happening?
It was piloted in one Broward County school, and it's something that we're working to have implemented in more schools, but it's something that parents can really start with their own PTO and their own schools and their own children within their own local communities. But there are efforts that are going to be going on to expand Safe Routes to School.
So who should they contact, or where should they look? At their local PTO, or?
At this point, they can look at the CDC and they can at website, and they can look up Safe Routes to School. They can contact the Broward County Health Department. They can contact the YMCA, and they can work with their own PTOs to organize that in their schools.
That's great. That sounds like a wonderful idea. I loved when I lived in communities where we could walk. You look like you're anxious to say something.
No, I was just remembering the days when I was younger and I lived in New York and walking in the snow. And I'm like, down here in South Florida is beautiful. You should have a walking school bus in every single neighborhood, because the bottom line is it's beautiful outside 24/7, unless when a hurricane comes around, then it's a different story. But you know, apart from that, it's still definitely.
And I too am like you, because growing up in the Deep South many years ago, most of my youth I walked to and from school, and again, we didn't have the problems with being abducted. It was just a norm for us to do. So that gave us a lot of exercise, and not only walking to and from, but once we entered school, there was even more physical activity. So it kind of kept us going most of the time.